Are you looking to add more volume to your silhouettes in fashion design? Well, pleats and tucks might be the solution. In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between a tuck and a pleat. We're also going to be talking about the many pleat options that are out there and how they can transform silhouettes and help fitting. I'll also be showing you how to draw these details through the fashion design book. Let's first talk about the difference between a tuck and a pleat. Well, to begin, they start off as the same exact thing, a fold of fabric, creating volume in certain areas and taking out volume in other areas, similar to what a dart does. The difference is that a tuck is stitched down externally on the garment. That tuck keeps the entire fold of the fabric in place all the way down. For example, this top has tucks in it because it's been stitched down along the fold, versus a pleat is stitched into a seam. It's not stitched along the fold. Let's look at some examples in the book. So in the fashion design book, you're going to find that we have different tucks and gathering options, different ruffles, pleats as well, and also common locations for pin tucks or tucks on garments. So let's look at the tucks versus pin tucks. If we look at this garment, we can see that this is a tuck. It has a stitch line all the way down, and that is not only a design detail, but in this case, it's also improving the fit of the garment. So it's pointing toward the area where we need more fullness in the bust. So those are standard tucks here. If the stitch was very close to the edge of the fabric, that would be considered a pin tuck. We also have this as a design feature here, that it's not really helping the fit at all, but it improves the aesthetic. And we can use tucks to change the silhouette, improve fit, or change the aesthetic. Now in the book, we'll also see that we have common areas for pin tucks here, and you can choose exactly where you want those pin tucks. This is just common areas, and a lot of these are really related to design instead of fit. This one is more for fit. But when we combine these with darts and princess seams, we can obtain the fit that we want as well. Now let's show the different types of pleats when it comes to folding the fabric. So we have different types of pleats, and in the fashion design book, you're going to find drawing pleats here, and we also have types of pleats. We have many different types of pleats. The most common pleats are the inverted and box pleats. So if we look at this is an inverted pleat, meaning we folded the fabric in and it's created an inverted pleat. You can see this as well. This is a garment that has an inverted pleat at the center front. They're folded toward the center. Now, if we flip this around to the other side, that is a box pleat. Here we can see the folded fabric. It's the same exact thing as an inverted pleat, but it's just the back side. Now we also have other pleats, double inverted pleats. We have different types of pleats here for design purposes primarily. And then we have side pleats, and knife pleats are usually pressed versus soft pleats are unpressed. This is a side pleat here. So we can see it's just folded over to one side, and this skirt actually also has a side pleat. So we have one side pleat here and one side pleat here, plus an inverted pleat. So in this skirt, you're going to see a photo of me wearing this. These pleats actually offer a change in silhouette. So we can utilize pleats for two reasons, either design and aesthetic for a silhouette change or for fit. And you can see in this garment here, we have two little side pleats, and these side pleats are going toward the area on the body that protrude outward, which is the bust. And in the photo here that I'm showing while I'm wearing it, you can see that this offers a nice fit in the area. And in this case, the pleats have been added in to improve the fit. One of the things that you should note in designing is that those pleats need to be deep enough so that they don't fully open. If they're too small, you can see they're not really going to become a full pleat all the way down. We get a full pleat going all the way down a garment to change the silhouette when the pleat is nice and deep. So you can see here, this is how deep this pleat is, and that is what changes the silhouette. Then when we look at these pleats, the pleats here are not as deep, but they still offer really great shaping for that bust area, and they're not going to totally open up. If they weren't deep enough, the fabric would open up and you would get shaping much lower. We need them to be deep enough to hit the area that protrudes. Now that you know what tucks and pleats are, let's get into drawing them together using the book. So for this tutorial, I want you to go ahead and grab a piece of paper. We're going to be practicing drawing pin tucks, pleats, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So we have drawing pleats on this page, and we also have the image of tucks on the following page. I want you to reference the fashion design book for this tutorial, and we're going to start with the box pleats here. So we're going to follow step by step. Step number 1 here, we're going to draw the little things that look like squigglies. This little squiggly is also often used with ruffles. So it's the same concept here. Doing ups and downs, and then we're going to pull the line up to the very edge. We're following this step number 2. And then we're going up on the inside, just like that. Connecting those step by step. And that is our pleat. Now, if I was going to do it from the top portion here, a box pleat would be something like that. We have some sort of a ruffle at the bottom of a skirt or something. It would look like this. Those pleats are coming directly from that seam, going all the way down. So this is then a box pleat. The bottom looks like that we can kind of see the bottom shaping coming out depending on how full the skirt is and what type of fabric you use. But that's the aesthetic for a box pleat. Then we have an inverted pleat. So we're kind of following the same concept here with the bottom, but let's say we only want to do one pleat at the center. So we can kind of see this is how it looks at the bottom, and we're going to follow that same exact concept. When in doubt, if it's not in the fashion design book exactly, we can always reference a piece of fabric or a garment in our collection, and we can kind of see we're going to do an S like that. And here we're going to come up, come out. This is my seam here, and we're pulling it in like that and that. And see that little bit of a S? That's an inverted pleat. It's coming from the center at 0, coming out and opening. Now let's try a side pleat. We have the side pleat here. It's all going to one direction. And just like that skirt I showed, it doesn't always have to go to one direction. We can have some go in and the other go in this way toward the center front, however you'd like it to be. Now a sunburst pleat generally has definitely, it's tilted a little bit more and it opens up a bit more. So that would be that sunburst pleat. Same exact thing as a side pleat, but just opened a little bit more. So let's do a standard side pleat. A soft side pleat has more of the rounded shape versus a knife pleat is more like a wave shape, wave in the water. So do whichever one you want to practice. We're going to start going all the way the same direction. Going to come up from that and we just pull it up, always pulling it up from that and always going in like that. And that's our side pleat. If we wanted that knife pleat, we would really cut it in hard, have a little wave, go to the next wave, and so forth. This one is then pressed, hard pressed with an iron. Let's go on now to the pin tucks. So pin tucks are so much fun for fitting and for design details. Let's look at those pin tucks and see how we draw them. It's actually super, super simple. And we can also refer to those bodice images here for common locations. You can see all it is a straight line and a stitch line next to each other. So let's draw that in a close-up version that we're drawing our pin tuck. And if you really want it to be exact, you can use a ruler. I tend to love to go freehand here. And we have a little bit of a gap between the pin tuck fold and the stitch line. So here you can see an example of a pin tuck, that the stitch is closer to the fold of the fabric and the distance here is still variable. So in this example in the fashion design book, you can see that the stitch line is very close to the fold, but we kind of have a variable amount there. There's not really a set rule of how wide a pin tuck is versus how wide a tuck is. Generally, when we see lots of them very close together like this, this is usually referred to as a pin tuck. So in the skirts section of the fashion design book, you're going to see options for side pleats, for different types of pleats, like that's more like a inverted pleat here and here. We have kick pleats down here. We have more of a box pleat type and accordion pleats. So lots of different options. You can always refer back to different styles within the book to see how to draw these different things. I hope you're enjoying the entire series of videos found through the fashion design book and all the QR codes linked there. The fashion design book is an entire library of silhouettes and style details from which you can choose to mix and match and create your own unique style. The book can be found through the link in the description below. It's also on most online book retail stores. I'm Gina Renee and I teach online pattern making and design courses so that you can design and sew clothes you love that fit. If you've enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.